Hello, excited to spend a little bit of time with you. Today we're going to be talking about Introduction to Object-Oriented Programming. And so getting ready to work through Chapter 9, Chapter 10 of Daniel Lang's Intro to Java Programming, I usually find it's a good idea to have a place that you can start making your own classes and objects before you actually start doing these things. So let's go ahead and let's get cranking. All right, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so I haven't actually started programming in this section yet. I'm using the Eclipse Integrated Development Environment. I'm here in Chapter 10, and I created a package called Listings, and I'm going to create a new class. And I'm just going to call this Intro to OOP. Now I'm going to make this public, and I'm also going to include the public static void main. Okay, so can't tell you how many times I've screwed this up. Control space to make it go. Let's just make sure that runs. Control S, Control F11. Okay, and now that we see that that goes. All right, so let's begin. I'm going to say, let's call this demo class dot say hello. Now, we should have two problems. First of all, demo class doesn't exist. That's not a real Java class. So I'm going to lean on the Eclipse, and I'm going to have it create demo class. And so I like to do this in a different folder or a different file. It'll be in the same source folder, same package. It's going to be public, but we don't include public static main this time. We'll talk about that in just a second. Okay, so now we've got in our listing, we've got demo class and intro to OOP. So we can save this now. Now we've got a new problem. It says, hey, this doesn't exist. So I'm going to create it, and I'm going to say control space to make it go. Control S, Control F11. Okay, and so we see this still gets printed off. All right, so let's take a break right quick and let's talk about order of execution. So what you can imagine is the computer basically runs this file. And so this file is public, and it's like you did Java listings.intro to OOP. And it'll come in and it'll execute this. Where it starts is here at main. Now again, this is public, static, let's talk about that. That means it's class-wide. It means it's not going to be specific to one individual, it's static across the whole class. And then void means it just doesn't send anything back. Main says this is the main method, this is where you get the keys to the battleship, this is where you get control, and this is where it starts listening. The first line that gets executed is here and says, hello world. Next thing that happens is it says, hey, go get this class called demo class and then run the method say hello. And so we come in here and we see say hello. Again, it's public. That means it can get called from the outside of the demo class. It's static, meaning it's one across all objects in the class. So any object can use this same method. And void means it doesn't send anything back. And then we can say hello. Now, let's go ahead and create an object inside our demo class. So I'm going to say demo class. This is the blueprint. Actually, before we do that, I want to show you a couple of the blueprints. So I'm going to say int and array user input equals new int 2. Go. So this is the blueprint. This is the object name. It's going to be a new, following the blueprint and pass in any parameters. I'll give you another one. Input. And so, oh, we've got to import that. If you remember chapter 2. There you go. And that makes that happy. So this is our class definition. This is the name of our object. So this object, based off of this definition, is going to be a new, whatever the constructor is, using these parameters as an input. So let's do user input of 0 equals input dot next int. So control space to make it go. And I'm going to avoid the complications of a loop, which would probably be a better option. But we'll do this. Okay. And so let's see how we use that template. What this is doing is it's saying, hey, I'm interacting with this object. What's the object name? User input. And what are we going to do? We're going to use this object input to grab the next int and pass that in. And just to see what we get, I'm going to say, no, not deep toString. I just want all right, so let's just test this and see if these examples work. So I'm going to 7 and 6. Cool. So that works, and that's kind of as expected. So now let's try to do that differently. Let's come in here. Whoops. Oh, come on. Come on, little bear. All right, and so I'm going to use demo class dot print array, and I'm going to pass it user input. So now it's complaining that, hey, the demo class doesn't actually define how to print an array. So I'm going to go ahead and create print array. All right, so this is just for an example. This is hokey, but it's going to work. And I'm efficient, lazy, however you want to say it. I'm okay with it. I'm going to drop this in here. Okay, so we can come back here, run it. I'm going to do 5 and 6 this time. 5 and 6, we know that this was inside of our class. So we could say and just to clean this up a little bit, I'm going to say okay, so again, we used the class name and then the behavior and then the parameters. Okay, let's do one more thing. Let's say, let's do this. I'm going to come back up here so I can use this model. I'm going to say, I'm going to create an object, and I'm going to call it object equals new demo class, and I'm going to pass it a 1. Okay, so it's going to say, hey, we need to have a constructor. So we're going to create a constructor with an int I, and I'm going to say this our number equals I. Okay, our number doesn't actually exist as a class variable, so I'm going to create it. Okay, notice now that it's a private integer and it's not static. That means our number is individual to our little objects here. Okay, so let's pop back here and I'm going to create another one. I'm going to call this, I know, how do I come up with these names? Second object, and I'm going to do this. Now, I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to say object dot print number. Now, it's complaining because print number doesn't exist, so I'm going to create it. Now, notice how this is different. Says public void. It doesn't say static. That's because this is specific to this object. So I'm going to say so what I want to point out is I can grab our number, and that is our number, which is specific to our object, and we can use that down here in this object specific method. And to show you how that works, control space to make it go. I probably had a typo here. Oh, you know what would help? Name it the right thing. There we go. Sorry about that. Typo. Okay, so let's see if we can run this. I'm going to do 5 and 42. Cool. So our number is 1, second number, our number is 2. And notice how it's doing this behavior for individual objects. Well, friends, that's quick and dirty. Oh, one thing, it says we've got a problem. So I'm going to do input.close, save that. That gets away from our little warning. And then one last thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to add this to, so we've got a simple, oh, that was from a different example I was working, and then a demo class and intro to OOP. I'm going to say, commit and push that up. And it's working on it. And this is just to make sure, oh, that all worked. Okay, and that's just to make sure that it's there next time whenever we clone the repository. Well, friends, this has been fun. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for spending a little time with me learning about object-oriented programming and how to kind of get started with that and some of the tips and the tricks. Hope you're having a great day. I look forward to spending some more time with you again real soon. Thanks and take care.